To pull over a car without a tag, and inside was 36-year-old Javaris Davis, who was wanted by the U.S. Marshals and wasn't about to give up voluntarily. The chase ended with the inevitable, the arrest of Davis at Woodrow Wilson and MLK. Police say he was also driving a stolen car. A man accused of matricide, killing his own mother over the weekend in Natchez, will not be getting out of jail. 29-year-old Zachary Laval Jackson Jr. faces several charges in the death of Lana Brown Bradley, a retired teacher whose body was found Saturday. Jackson was ordered held without bail this week. More news in 1 hour on 103.9 WIAB. I'm Chris Davis.
The views and opinions expressed in this program are the individual views and opinions of the people expressing them and are not necessarily.
Welcome into the Lindsey Beckham Show. It is Thursday. We are live here in the Men's Health and Women's Wellness of Mississippi studios right here in Flora, Mississippi, the Cotton Exchange Plaza home of WIAB Studios. We are streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and X. And as always, you can call into the show today, 601-879-0002. Text line 601-879-4648. Hope everybody is having a great Thursday afternoon so far. We are joined today by my favorite attorney and yours, Mr. Sean Yerkeron. Hey, Sean.
Hey, what's up? What's up? How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
You watching the astronauts?
I did the other day. You didn't see when they went to the other, the dark side of the moon and all that? You didn't catch all that?
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll be back tomorrow.
Yeah, they're supposed to like splash in the Pacific Ocean at some point, I hear.
Is that the way? That's the way that was the old way they used to do it. They used to splash down in the capsule or something. Then that'll be cool. Yeah, I never even looked into how they were landing, and they obviously weren't in a space shuttle, so they weren't going to land like that. Yeah, all right. That was the old method, splash down in the Pacific. So, guess we could see that again.
I guess again.
I think it's a pretty amazing thing. They've traveled further than any human beings into space ever, I believe. I think that's right.
Yeah,
and it's an amazing accomplishment, though. Just to see those guys. I think they've been, considering all the bad news that we get about everything, whatever it is.
I mean,
it's nice to see something. I think it's pretty inspiring to me when I watch that.
I would agree with you much more than I do if they would just come clean about maybe this is the first time they've ever been there.
They're not coming clean with that because that's not true, but okay. That's not true. Anyway, I think it's very inspirational for those of us that believe in the space mission.
I told you, it was our first date. I thought it was the moon landing I brought up on our first date, and I think he was wanting to run far away as fast as he could, but he reminded me it wasn't the moon landing, it was chemtrails. I brought up.
Yeah, well, I think you brought up the moon landing at some point, but I always I thought that I'd heard that people didn't believe in the moon landing. Like I heard like a joke. I didn't know there was like this many. There really is a lot of people. I didn't know that until I met you. I was like, wow, there's like that many people that actually don't believe this happened. Okay. I thought it was kind of like a joke thing. I didn't know it was like there was actually people that didn't believe in it, and so now I know that.
I was telling Kim Wade about that the other day. I said, I think he and his sister had just had a conversation about how, can you believe there's people out there who really don't believe we went to the moon?
Yeah, I still have a hard time with it, but now I know there are a lot of people that feel that way. So.
And then in steps Lindsey and explains to you all the reasons why we didn't go to the moon.
Does Kim believe in the moon landing? I never even asked him that. Not a question I ask people.
I think he's kind of on the fence about it, but after I talked to him, I think he's probably with me. He thinks it never happened.
Well, he's good at switching sides on things. So
oh Lord, here we go. Here we go. You're gonna have Miss Carol.
Oh yeah,
calling. Right. She's a hoot. She always has to call in after you call into Kim's show and complain about you beating up on Kim like you do.
Oh yeah. Well, I just talk about his I said he can always switch political sides because he was able to switch religion with such ease. So that's where she gets mad.
So, Sean, what's I haven't been watching, obviously, this is not my area, but so do we have a ceasefire? Do we not have a ceasefire? What's happening in Iran? I know you've been glued to the war news.
Sure. It's tenuous at best. Like right now, I don't think they're shooting at each other. Well, the Israelis are shooting at the Lebanese, so that's going on. But I think right now we're not bombing Iran. And I know I saw this morning that the Strait of Hormuz was still closed, but there are a lot of points of contention. I think the Iranians say that they believed that the Israelis were not going to attack Lebanon or the Hamas, or Hezbollah, excuse me, in Lebanon during the ceasefire. And Vice President J.D. Vance said that that was not part of the deal. So there's some dispute on that about was that a part of the ceasefire or not. Then there is the whole thing has kind of moved into a new phase at this point. Is the will the Iranians now what they want to do is, I'm trying to break this down simply, like they want to charge a toll to pass through the Strait of Hormuz, which they were not doing that before.
Like a
all
tariff?
this. Yeah, it's like $2 billion for your ship to pass, and they had been working on that. So that's a deal that they are trying to work out with President Trump. All he said to it, I saw yesterday, was like, maybe we'll do it as a joint venture. This, if the Iranians are, I guess to boil this down, if the Iranians are able to charge a toll and exact that much control over the strait, that's a very bad outcome for us, especially in the long term. It's a horrible outcome because what they said is they want to accept the toll in yuan or in cryptocurrency, which would devalue the petrodollar. And I'm not going to get into all that. I know you're more than me, but and that's gonna be detrimental to us long term. So I hope that is something that they stick to their guns and not allow them to do that, because if they're able to do that, that means they strategically, one, militarily they lost the war, but strategically they will end up winning if they are able to charge that toll.
So that would hurt our economy, I guess.
Yeah, I mean that means the Iranians are going to extract full control of the Strait of Hormuz. They're going to be able to make money off of it. And also if they can accept it in yuan, that hurts our status, the U.S. dollar, as the world's global currency. These are all outcomes we do not want. They're bad outcomes for us in long term. So I hope that during the negotiations this weekend that is not something that we're going to agree to, because that's a horrible outcome.
Did they open the strait and then close it back, or did they never open it?
It's unclear on that exactly. I mean, because it's only been a day now, so I'm not sure. Right now, as of now, they're saying it's closed. So I don't know. And that was part of the ceasefires. They were going to open it, but apparently they've not opened it, as far as what I'm reading.
And then I
don't know if it was ever open for a little while or what, but it's really wasn't that long if it was.
We saw oil prices temporarily start to decrease a little bit. I don't know if that's still happening, but I saw
they went back up now over 100 a barrel. I believe that's right. Yeah, they dropped down to about 94 yesterday, and then it's now over 100. I think that's right. I haven't checked it in a few hours. I had things to do. So
I saw JD Vance is headed there, I guess, to try
Pakistan. I think that's right.
Yeah, to some sort of deal. I don't know. It almost seems as though Israel's just kind of doing their own thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. That's an interesting. I sent you something this morning. Did you see that segment from Megyn Kelly?
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet, though.
Well, I saw some reporting about it last night, and she really went off on it. And it's, her position was that President Trump was allowing Netanyahu to push him around and kind of sucked him into this war. And now the Israelis kind of seem like they're going, they're going to do whatever they want to do because you're already in it. So they're like, hey, we're attacking Hezbollah, whatever. They don't care. So yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of issues with this. What if we have a actual functionable deal or ceasefire, are the Israelis going to abide by that? Or are they going to do whatever they want to? And it seems to me right now they're doing whatever they want to, because they're reporting they were not happy about the ceasefire at all. Like it seemed like they didn't want it. They wanted us to keep pounding Iran as much as we can. So they didn't want this one bit, because by the way, where the war is extremely unpopular here, it's very popular in Israel. Very popular. So
why is that? Why are they so dedicated to this this war happening and wanting it to happen.
Well, I can understand this. If I was an Israeli, I'd probably be all about it because the Iranians been trying to kill you and funding terror groups have been trying to kill you for years, and you've been in that position. So to them, they view it as a life or death struggle. I mean, I don't really blame them on that aspect. And so they pounding, bombing the Iranians to the Stone Age is something that is going to be very popular to any Israeli citizen. So I get their position from that respect for sure. So they are not, it's not unpopular to them at all. They want to, they want to keep going, and they didn't want the ceasefire. So, and I don't think I'm not sure that we consulted them either, which that's fine with me because they seem not to consult us when they do things. So I don't,
Yeah, that's what it
right.
seems like here lately anyway. We got a text on the text line that said to ask you, as a former Marine, were you willing to die for oil?
Well, I mean, not if you put it that way, no. I think it just depends on what the goal is. I know what you're saying. That was kind of the old adage of the 1990s when we went into Iraq the first time in 1991. Was like, do you want to die for oil? And that, it's been a thing. The problem, it's bigger than oil, really, with the Strait of Hormuz. Like, and what the issue is, does it long-term devalue U.S. currency as the world's global reserve currency? And that will affect our deficit, and that will crush our economy long-term. And that's the bad portion. I know it seems like we're talking about oil, but an economic, impact of this is devastating, not today, not tomorrow, but long-term for us. So that's kind of the point where, now look, I was against doing this from the beginning. I'm obviously not against, I don't think the Iranians should have a nuclear capability. And I think they deserve what they get for the things that they've done. But this was always a possible outcome, that they were going to do this, that they were going to attack the strait and attack their neighbors. Now, that being said, now that we're in it, we're kind of in it, is the way I'm looking at it. And we have to get out of it correctly. Like, we can't just, wash our hands with it, because we made the situation far worse than it was before. And if we don't handle this correctly, it's going to have devastating long-term consequences. That's my concern.
Yeah, and I mean, of course, it's scary anytime you're at war, and especially when there's troops on the ground, boots on ground, and then
Yeah.
of course that always starts up the conversation of a draft, and that's a word I never want to hear because like, not my babies.
Yeah, I think, if you're talking about, and the Pentagon has gamed out a invasion scenario of Iran for decades, and of course, especially since 1979. I mean, the kind of troop commitment we need for that is around, I think the estimates I've read are anywhere between 1 to 1.5 million troops. I mean, that's a lot, considering even with the reserve components, we only have about 2.1 million right now, and that's active duty and reserve. So, I mean, that's an area you're going to have a draft if that were to be it. Now, the limited scenario would be the taking of the islands that are in the Strait of Hormuz, which is like, I can't remember all their names, like Orb, and they got all these, funny names like my last name. Like, they all sound like that.
Yeah.
And, I think there's like 4 specific islands that we need to take, and that will require some sort of, like, probably invasion by the Marine Corps. Is speaking to someone who brought that up. And yes, I do think about, my fellow Marines, and that kind of invasion scares the crap out of me. Knowing the Marine Corps like I do, those guys are probably waiting to do it. But I mean, like, I just knowing the way they, get real motivated. But I do think the casualty aspect of that would be horrible, and I don't want to see that, obviously.
I did. Speaking on this topic, I did get an email from a listener this morning, and he is definitely not fond of us being involved in this war. He says that our politicians have kissed U.S. for decades, and Trump is no different. In spite of all the good things he's done, he's ruining his legacy by sending our sons to do the dirty work of the bastard state of fake Israel, which is really Edom. Even in the encyclopedia, Jews admit that an ancient Israelite is not the same as a modern day Jew. Anyway, he's definitely not happy.
Yeah, he sounds like he says he's got a position. Look, I'm this. I'm obviously not. I'm not anti-Semitic, and to me, this doesn't have anything to do with religion from that respect. With the problem, though, I do agree with those. Like, I do agree with Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly and I guess Candace Owens to a certain extent on this. Like, I don't understand, and Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't understand why we we do the bidding of the state of Israel. I feel like that needs to be changed, and that'd be whether if we did the bidding of any other country would bother me. I don't know why that's something that we do, and I feel like that's got us into this position, a very bad position that we weren't in before, and now we have a heck of a way of getting out of it, and that's and that's the tough part. And I do, like I said, you and I were talking about this the other night of how when we went to the White House, when the first attack, the Midnight Hammer, was the Israelis attacked first, and then we got thrown into it. I mean, it seems like we're getting pushed into these things that are not having the best outcomes for us. And now we're stuck in a situation where we've got to figure out how to get that straight open, that they can't charge these tolls. And is that going to require ground troops on our part? Because it's not going to be the Israeli ground troops, it's going to be our guys doing
Right.
this.
Yeah.
It's our guys dying doing this. And that's my point of contention with Israel, not the fact that they're Jewish.
Well, you weren't upset, Sean, when we were sending all that money over to Ukraine. I remember that.
By the way, speaking to that, and I hope folks listen to this, the Ukrainians have been the one that helping us the most in this war, because they fought 4 years of a drone warfare over there, and they have been helping us while the Russians have been helping the Iranians try to kill our guys. The Ukrainians are the ones that have, because they know all about drone warfare because they've been stuck in the middle of it for 4 years. So the Ukrainians have been our heck of an ally through this, where the Russians are trying to kill us. And I hope people think about that, where there wasn't that much of a support for Ukraine, but now seeing what they're doing on our side and what the Russians are trying to kill us. So that's the,
I
to me,
just
that's
wish we could
important.
all just get along. I don't
Yeah.
understand why we can't all just get along. But we got to take a break. Y'all stay with us. There's lots more to talk about. I saw some breaking news as I was driving in, Sean. We'll get to that when we get back right here on WIB 103.9, The Lindsey Beckham Show.
.1039 WYAB.
Hi, Kim Wade here. Hot weather requires us to run the AC nonstop. Pure Air Consultants can inspect your unit today to ensure your AC is operating at peak performance. Pure Air Consultants is your go-to ring partner that can get the job done and have you resting in comfort in no time. Locally owned and operated, they have proudly served our community for over 22 years. Contact Pure Air Consultants today at mypureairconsultants.com. Ream and Pure Air Consultants to the rescue.
I'm Sean Yurtkaran, and I've spent nearly 20 years in the courtroom, first as a prosecutor in Hinds County, now fighting for my clients as a defense attorney. I know how the system works, and I know how to protect your rights. If you're facing criminal charges, don't wait. Call me at 601-862-1320 or visit me at onetextlaw.com. That's onetextlaw.com. Serious cases need serious defense. And remember, just because you did it doesn't mean you're guilty. Let's get to work.
Americans for Prosperity is Mississippi's and the country's leading grassroots organization dedicated to promoting economic freedom and personal liberty. Americans for Prosperity advocates for limited government, free market policies, and empowering individuals. When given freedom and opportunity, Americans are capable of extraordinary things. If you are ready to make a difference in our community and want to get involved, then visit americansforprosperity.org. Be a part of positive change at americansforprosperity.org. Paid for by Americans for Prosperity.
Hello, I'm John Ravenstein, third-generation owner of Juniker Jewelry Company. I've been here 50 years.
And I'm Corey Ravenstein, fourth-generation owner. I grew up here, literally.
Our great-uncle started Juniker Jewelry way back in 1944. And that simply means we've probably helped more Mississippi men pick out their engagement rings than anyone else.
Guys who are nervous.
Guys who've waited too long.
Guys who just want to get it right the first time.
That's what we do at Juniker Jewelry, Mississippi's direct diamond importer.
No pressure, just straight answers. And the largest selection of loose diamonds, engagement ring styles, and wedding bands in the state.
Remember, you can't buy a better quality diamond at a lower price anywhere in Mississippi. That's the Juniker's money-back diamond guarantee.
Come find out why we're still here after 82 years.
And why she'll never say, you're late, if you've shopped at Juniker's.
Juniker Jewelry Company, 1485 Highland Colony Parkway in Madison, and JunikerJewelry.com, Mississippi's direct diamond importer.
Need a new car? Then march right over to Mazda of Jackson and spring in the savings. Get 1.9% financing for 63 months on all 2025 CX-5s, 2026 CX-90s, CX-50s, CX-70s, and Mazda 3s with approved credit. And get 1-year maintenance included on your new vehicle purchase. Don't wait another minute to experience Mazda's exhilarating performance, top-notch safety, and reliability. So get to Mazda of Jackson today, where pre-owned vehicles and hassle-free trade-in options are also available. Shop online or visit Mazda of Jackson, I-55 Frontage Road.
You can show your pride and patriotism in honor of the 250th birthday of this great nation by proudly flying a flag. And a complete flag source on I-55 in Jackson is the place to find it. All sizes for all purposes. And they have the official 250-year celebration flag. Have a look at CompleteFlags.com. That's CompleteFlags.com.
Huddle up, wing lovers, and double your count for less on Wing Tuesdays at Buffalo Wild Wings. When you buy one order of traditional wings, get one for 50% off. No time to dine? Order for delivery and wing it up with a crew at home. Or pick up takeout when you're on the go. Limit one per order, not valid with any other offers. Additional terms and conditions apply. Huddle up for Wing Tuesday at Buffalo Wild Wings.
Welcome back into the Men's Health and Women's Wellness of Mississippi studios. We are live here, and this is the Lindsey Beckham Show. I'm, of course, Lindsey Beckham. We are joined by Sean Yurkaran today on the live stream. We are streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and X. And as always, you can call into the show, 601-879-0002, or text us at 601-879-4648. Sean, I saw as I was coming in to the station that our state health officer, Dr. Daniel Edney, has said that he will not be taking a position with the CDC. That was sort of rumored here a few weeks ago, so everybody can breathe a sigh of relief.
Okay, was that a bad thing?
Oh, he's like the biggest vaccine pusher there is. So yeah,
Oh,
we don't
okay.
need him in the CDC.
I don't even know if I knew who the state health director was, to be honest with
You
you.
know Dan
I can
Edney
tell you
is.
about the Strait of Hormuz, but I don't know anything about stuff like that.
You know who he is because that guy that was running for city council looked so much like him. Remember, I kept saying he looks just like Dan Edney.
Oh, I thought that was you were talking about like the SNL character or something. I don't know. I just got confused. Sorry.
I thought healthcare was your thing.
I mean, in this state, it's not like we really care about it. So I don't really.
Yeah, he doesn't exactly look like a picture of health by any means. I will say that. Sean, you were telling me what there what's the guy's name that beat his wife up and then
Oh, Todd Martis?
Yes.
Rankin County. Yeah, the
I just could not think of his
Madison
name.
County, excuse me. I think it's Madison County.
This
Yeah,
was a huge case several years ago.
yeah, the guy that beat his Kingfisher's got an article about it up where he the guy beat his wife real bad. I think there was like what's the restaurant that was like I think it was caught on video or whatever, and he got a significant amount of time, and he tried to he filed what's called a PCR, post conviction relief, to change his sentence to one that was more comparable to other people that had been sentenced for something similar. Like he was charged with aggravated domestic violence. I think, I just pulled up his October 7th of 2020, or October 4th, excuse me, where she had his wife, Mrs. Martis, had a lacerated liver, fractured wrist, fractured cheekbone, a fractured ankle, 2 broken ribs, strangulation marks, widespread bruising, and patches of hair torn completely from her scalp.
I mean,
It was
she
a home
almost
security
died.
camera.
She almost died.
Yeah, I believe, yeah, I think it was that bad, right? And 2, there was a home security camera, excuse me, and showed him dragging her unconscious by her hair through the driveway. Yeah. And then he didn't even go to the hospital, and he flew to Tampa with another woman the next morning for good measure. Sounds like a wonderful human being here.
And then I think the story got more interesting because they had a no contact order that
Right.
they were weren't they both arrested because they were violating that?
Well, I think it was a no contact for him That's usually the way it works. So I think he probably was. I think weren't they caught at dinner or something?
Yeah,
That's what
they
I'm
were
thinking
at
of.
like out at
It's been
public,
a while,
you know,
huh?
out in public at a restaurant, not
Yeah,
even hiding the fact that they're together. And then
that's
she
right. She revoked his bond after he got violated a no contact order with his wife. That's right. That's what Kingfisher's got reported. So apparently that
and
happened at some
she
point.
actually pleaded on the stand for them not to give him a harsh sentence, which uh, I can't make sense of that.
Well, I mean, a lot of women in domestic violence situations, that happens. I mean, I've told you these stories back when I was prosecuting. One lady, I'll never forget, she came to my office and she had bandages all taped up on both of her arms all the way up, like those white bandages, And he had her significant other, if you want to call him that, had set her on fire. And she came to my office begging me to drop the case. And I was like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, this guy's going to kill you. And that I just noticed that on that side of the aisle doing that work for a long time, that happens, more often than not, probably, where I don't know. I'm not a psychologist. When it gets to me now, it's usually I'm defending someone. Before it was prosecuting, and that's not my area to know why that happens. It's just something that I personally observed. Is that what you see that a lot? That a woman will make a lot of excuses and try to back off those things. That happens a lot. I don't know what you call it, like the victim mentality. You probably know this stuff better than I do, the
Yeah.
psychological terms. I just don't know the exactly, but they tend, that's happened quite a bit, or they get back together a lot. Like the one that I'm on, the case that I was on, I did the Hulu documentary for Stanley Cole murdering Latasha Norman. That was the same thing with them. They had a violent relationship. Well, I would say he was violent, and she was taking the brunt of it, and they kept kind of reconnecting. And that's just a very common thing that you see in those kinds of relationships. And then a lot of times it ends up very badly, like a murder, unfortunately.
How likely is it, do you think, that his sentence will be changed?
It wasn't. So Judge Radcliffe
Oh,
denied
he denied it, okay.
that was the article about it. So he was sentenced to 20 years in prison. 3 of those years were suspended. So 17 years. And on an aggravated assault, you're eligible for parole after 50%. If you serve 50% of that sentence. So like, what's that, 8.5 years for him? Like if at 8.5 years, he would be eligible for parole. So if I'm not a math guy either, but I'm guessing that's about right.
Yeah.
So yeah, so he died. But he wanted to. So some other folks had been sentenced to much less time on that, and he wanted his sentence to be comparable to that. And that was the argument that he had made for that stuff. I think there was a Richard Cox who was a deputy, I believe, that had gotten like around 3 years, and so it's like the Richard Cox case. He was a former state trooper who beat, kicked, and choked his wife, and he was arrested also for witness tampering and violating a no contact order. And I think he received less time, sentenced to serve 3 years in prison. But so he was trying to say, well, it's unfair that these people had something that was comparable to what I have, but I got loaded up and they didn't get as much time. But a lot of times that there's just cases are fact specific. I mean, there's people that when I was prosecuting that I offered more time to than other people that were charged with the same crime, and it was for various reasons, obviously, that you do that. It's not just to be vindictive or whatever. There's like you could look at somebody's criminal history as one thing you would weigh into that. Like I don't think he had any, but I think there must have been some history of domestic violence with him or something that made the judge decide to give him that significant of a sentence. I don't think he just did it out of the blue, trying to be harsher than other cases. But
No, I think
that's
it
what
does
happens.
make a difference. I think it's pretty impressionable when you have the video and you
Mhm.
see him dragging her by the hair. Now that there's these security cameras, there's a more video footage now than there's ever been before, and I don't know if maybe seeing it changes things.
Well, sure, it does. Like there's and I know you're not going to know this reference because it's about football, but Ray Rice was caught beating his girlfriend, I think, on camera in an elevator, if I remember, several years ago. He was a running back for the Baltimore Ravens, and before they knew about that he had done it, and they didn't. I don't think it was a very light punishment they gave him. But once the video came out,
Saw it.
well, yeah, I mean, all hell broke loose, and I can't
Yeah.
remember what kind of suspension he received at this point, but it was a lot more significant, and it was kind of an example of like if you don't have video evidence, it's a lot easier to stomach, but when you can see it, then people are like, "Oh
Right.
my God!" So yeah, and then he got. I forget what it was exactly, but he got more of a significant suspension after, which I would argue, I mean, they should suspended him anyway. Did that significant? I'm not saying that, but what I am saying is I think it's unfair to, like, if you made an analysis on some kind of a case, I don't think you should get to up it based upon like there's like publicity. Now, I'm not saying that's what happened in Martis. I'm talking about Ray Rice. Martis, I
Right.
think it was so bad. I mean, if I was a judge, I'd have given him the same thing.
Yeah.
I can't. I mean, it was so brutal. And
And I truly think it hurt him that she took the stand and asked for less time for him. I think that hurt him more than it helped.
What I heard about that case, that he was that it was even this well publicized, that he was some wealthy guy. I don't know what industry he was in. I'm sure Kingfish could tell us that. He followed it pretty
Yeah, very
extensively.
well known, like, businessman in the
Uh,
community, from what I
And
understand.
yeah, and I'm just guessing, having done this work for 21 years, that there's a lot of people, and you've learned that by working with me. There's a lot of people that don't think the law applies to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's where, like, if I was a judge, you got to make an example of those people. I understand that dynamic, because there's a lot of people that have been in the system and they accept the punishment for the crimes they commit, and they do it humbly. I mean, I've seen that a lot, and that's great. But there's a lot of people that just go kicking and screaming,
Yeah.
because they think that they're better than the law. They're better than everybody else. And I always have a problem with clients like that, or whether I'm doing now or prosecuting and stuff like that. I think a lot of times that, like, you just need to have a better attitude about certain situations. And I'm guessing that maybe he had that kind of attitude. You're seeing
Yeah.
that now a lot with the district attorney and Chokwe Lumumba, I think. I mean, so, and the reason I use that as an example is, if I were the federal judge right now, I'm sure he's intently watching this and the kind of motions they filed, which they have a right to do those things. But that case is like, there is tons of video of you guys taking money. And,
Mhm.
I mean, it's just hard to argue that away. I mean, there's tons, and you making these statements about things that you've done. Like, everybody has seen that now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you're saying, well, it's the fault, the FBI got me drunk. Well, if I was a federal judge, I'm gonna sit there and be like, okay,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
it's gonna make me mad. I'm gonna be honest. It's gonna make me mad. But more mad than, like, if he were to come in there and say, hey, I messed up. This was really stupid. Like,
Right.
this is really stupid. I'm obviously caught. I get it. And then I'd have a lot of mercy at that point. But I think maybe that was I'm guessing that may have been a dynamic in the
But
Martis case versus the ones.
he's a whole DA, Sean. He's a whole DA.
Yeah, I mean, those attitudes. Sometimes your
I know.
attitude will get you screwed. I mean,
I know.
I tell
That's
people this
true.
all the time. You got a good attitude about things. You accept responsibility. Then you're going to fare a lot better
Yeah,
than somebody
absolutely.
that doesn't do that. Now, if you're innocent, though, that's a different story. I mean, and I've represented a lot of people that are innocent, and then, like, you should want to fight, like, at that
Yeah.
point, like, if you didn't
Yeah.
do anything. But if you did it and you're, like, overwhelmingly caught, sometimes a lot of humility goes a long way with courts. It just
Yeah.
does.
Yeah, absolutely. We got to take a break, but stay with us. When we get back, we are going to talk about the latest updates in the Carly Gregg case. That's something we haven't talked about on air, I don't think, Sean. And then Tommy Duff is involved in a lawsuit. And then what's going on with Brett Favre and Shad White? And
What
Sean,
about Brett Favre?
what about Brett Favre? What about Brett Favre? Well, Sean's going to tell us when we get back. So y'all stay with us right here on the Lindsey Beckham Show, WIAB 1039. We'll be right back.
Keep it tuned here to 1039 WYAB.
Hi, Kim Wade here. Hot weather requires us to run the AC nonstop. Pure Air Consultants can inspect your unit today to ensure your AC is operating at peak performance. Pure Air Consultants is your go-to ring partner that can get the job done and have you resting in comfort in no time. Locally owned and operated, they have proudly served our community for over 22 years. Contact Pure Air Consultants today at mypureairconsultants.com. Ream and Pure Air Consultants to the rescue.
I'm Sean Yurtkaran, and I've spent nearly 20 years in the courtroom, first as a prosecutor in Hinds County, now fighting for my clients as a defense attorney. I know how the system works, and I know how to protect your rights. If you're facing criminal charges, don't wait. Call me at 601-862-1320 or visit me at onetextlaw.com. That's onetextlaw.com. Serious cases need serious defense. And remember, just because you did it doesn't mean you're guilty. Let's get to work.
Americans for Prosperity is Mississippi's and the country's leading grassroots organization dedicated to promoting economic freedom and personal liberty. Americans for Prosperity advocates for limited government, free market policies, and empowering individuals. When given freedom and opportunity, Americans are capable of extraordinary things. If you are ready to make a difference in our community and want to get involved, then visit americansforprosperity.org. Be a part of positive change at americansforprosperity.org. Paid for by Americans for Prosperity.
CBS News Brief. With the truce holding, the next step is direct talk set for this weekend with Iran. Correspondent Nancy Cortez at the White House.
The Iranians are sending some mixed messages about whether they even plan to attend because they're angry that Israel is still firing upon Lebanon. They say Lebanon was part of the ceasefire. The Americans and the Israelis say it was not.
House Democrats have been stopped in their bid to introduce a war powers resolution curbing the president's powers. Torian Small is following.
We heard Democrats on the floor call shame at the Republican for not recognizing them.
Authorities in the Bahamas have arrested a man, Brian Hooker, whose wife went missing during a boat ride. Correspondent Christian Benavidez is covering.
In a statement, Brian's attorney said he didn't do anything wrong. In regards to the disappearance, he denied any allegations that his stepdaughter, Carly, made about him.
On Wall Street at this hour, stocks are higher. The Dow up 345. CBS News Brief, I'm Cammie.
Delicious food and a relaxing atmosphere combine to make the best place for sports fans and foodie fans to watch the game and just hang out. Capitol Grill of Jackson. Of course they've got the games, but food, oh my goodness. Mouth-watering po' boys, fish, steaks, appetizers, and a specialty pizza menu. Kitchen opens at 5 Monday through Thursday and 11 Friday through Sunday. And happy hours are daily at Capitol Grill. Also enjoy the all-new Tuesday night and karaoke on Wednesday and Friday nights from 8 till midnight with DJ Money Mod. Capitol Grill, DeVille Plaza in Jackson.
Hey guys, this is Casey Ellis with Ellis Autoplex located on Highway 471 in Brandon. Ellis Autoplex, known as Little Truck City, is your old school mom and pop style dealership that's family owned and operated. We specialize in 4-wheel drive trucks, but don't worry, we have cars and SUVs too. Looking to sell your vehicle? Bring it by Ellis Autoplex where we pay fair market value and we cut you a check on the spot. Need your vehicle service or repair? We can handle that too. Shop us online or set your appointment at ellisautoplex.com. That's ellisautoplex.com.
Got electrical problems? Marty Cowden and Cowden Electric are here for you. Cowden Electric is your trusted electrician serving the Jackson area for 3 decades. Electrical repair, service, and home rewiring are just the start of what Cowden Electric can do. Cowden Electric also installs generators to keep your power going when everyone else's lights are out. Plus, LED lighting, remodels, new construction, no job is too small. Visit CowdenElectric.com today to see all that they do. Cowden Electric, powering your home and business.
Attention citizens, the call is going out across all of 103.9 WYAB. Each Tuesday from 9 to 10 a.m., General Bob's Swap Shop summons all able-bodied listeners to buy, sell, and trade. Sign up by calling the phone line and joining the campaign where your stuff becomes the hero of the hour. No shillings, no coins, no enlistment fees of any kind to peddle your personal items. Report for duty each Tuesday at 9 a.m. right here on 103.9 WYAB. General Bob needs you and your stuff.
Ladies, tired of running on empty, sleepless nights, mood swings, stubborn weight, skin that has lost its glow? It is not just getting older. It is your body begging for help. Hey, y'all, I'm Morgan at Women's Wellness in Mississippi. At Women's Wellness in Mississippi, we bring it all together. Hormone therapy, medical weight loss, and the latest, greatest aesthetic treatments like facials, lasers, Botox, and so much more. This is where wellness and beauty meet so that you can feel amazing inside and out. At Women's Wellness in Mississippi, the best version of you is waiting right around the corner.
Come together.
Welcome back to the Lindsey Beckham Show. We are live here in the Men's Health and Women's Wellness of Mississippi studios, joined by Sean Yerkeron, and we are breaking down some of the popular court cases of the last few years that have had some updates, and one that we saw, I guess, was it last week, Sean? But there's going to be new evidence. Well, I guess it's not new evidence, but the Carly Gregg is going to get a chance to, I guess, her attorneys to speak at the Supreme Court level here in Mississippi.
Oh yeah, they're gonna have oral arguments. That means they grant an oral argument based on the appellate brief.
Does that normally happen? Is that something?
They don't always. You could, you request it. sometimes you don't on a brief, but a lot of times people will request it, and it's not always granted on every case. So they don't pick every case. So that is, significant in that regard, because they don't pick every single case that requests oral argument. But it is the normal. It's still going up. There's not any new evidence. It's based on the appellate brief from the trial. So, but they are getting an oral argument, which is, not always granted. So that's interesting. So maybe there are some things that justices want to hear from the attorneys. Because we all know there are issues that we think.
Usually the Supreme Court will just read the brief, right? And then they just make their judgment.
Most of the time, they're what's called rule on the paper. Yeah, and when it comes to those things, but the majority of the appeals that go there, they do not hear an oral argument. So in that regard, yes, that would be significant to that point. I mean, it's not like completely out of the ordinary either, but it is, that means they are interested in certain aspects of that case. And I have not read the appellate brief. I'll probably do that before the oral argument. But if I remember from watching that trial, and I know we, interviewed Catherine and Michael on it, there were a lot of contentious moments. Seems to me to be the biggest argument would be ineffective assistance of counsel. Would be my main appellate argument there. They've just go ahead.
I wonder if that had something to do with them choosing to hear the oral arguments, because they know that she had an attorney that did not do her justice at all.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's a case called the seminal case of Strickland versus Washington about ineffective assistance of counsel. I'm assuming that's what the brief is based on. I have not read it. I'm guessing, just watching. It was what's Miss Todd. Sorry, I know you know better than I do. It was there was a lot of things there that seemed way out of the ordinary, and so I would think that they're leaning a lot on that. I'm going to guess. That's just a guess. I don't know that yet though.
Yeah, that should be interesting. That case kind of captivated not only everyone locally, but national. That was national news. They were airing the live trial every single day. So
yeah,
I'm sure that people will be glued to that to see what happens next. It's not every day that you see a 14-year-old girl just shoot her mother in the head and kill her. So
yeah, I watched it on I remember watching it on court TV or something. I never watched those trials, but that was interesting, because it was just, there was so many dynamics to that thing. It wasn't even obviously her age is the big thing, how young she was, is they make that hard. But the kind of defense that they had was that she was what's called McNaughton insane, and after watching it, I think that was more applicable to her defense attorney, Ms. Todd, than to her,
Absolutely.
I would, that's a case in my mind that should have been, pled guilty from the beginning. There was no question as to guilt there at all. And it was just like, was she insane or not? Well, it didn't seem like they ever had an expert report that said that, or definitively said that. I remember Michael Smith cross-examined their expert and just destroyed them. Just ripped them apart. And, I don't know. It just seemed like that there should have been some sort of plea thing that they would have. I don't know how that was communicated, and maybe that's some of the arguments that are going to be made before the Supreme Court. I don't know. I'm gonna read it now. I'm interested. Now I'm gonna go read the brief and see.
I think so.
Sit down and read a brief.
I almost feel like the world would be safer if they did lock Bridget Todd up and just let Carly go.
Didn't she abscond to Alaska or something like that?
Utah,
or
but she's back and pregnant. That poor kid. God.
Oh, she's back now?
Oh, she's back.
I don't follow the whereabouts of Bridget Todd. Is she practicing law again, or?
I don't know. She's got so many bar complaints. I don't know how she still has a license.
I just remember, the amount of people that reached out when we did those Carly and Craig were amazing. I just could not believe it. But, I can't believe it after watching that trial. But it was, it was pretty rough.
Yeah, so many people reached out to both you and I privately to tell us their horror stories with Miss Todd. I have my own.
Her divorce case was the most. I think Kingfish put it up there on the side.
Oh yeah,
my God! Didn't she try to get run over by her, intentionally throw herself out of her ex-husband's car or something?
Sprayed bleach in his face and.
Yes, right. Kicked him in the nuts too. Yeah. Right. It was terrible. That's right. I'm now remember. It's been a while. Yeah. It was the worst.
Remember, she took his kids.
This woman?
She got his kids from school.
That's right.
And they gave her temporary custody of his kids.
Yeah, that'd be like me trying to get custody of your kids, right? I
don't think you would ever do that.
No, don't worry about that. But
they're not bad kids, y'all. John just doesn't know what to do with kids.
Yeah,
even though he is a big kid himself. But
Right. I just, I've never heard of somebody trying to get custody of somebody else's children.
Wild.
Like, that's
Absolutely
crazy.
wild.
I mean, she didn't she spray him because he was eating some potato chips or
Potato
something?
chips or something, and she didn't. I think he was crunching too loud or something. She was mad about.
Man, I mean, that
She
gives
kept
you a whole
trying
new
to get him to
perspective.
engage, and he was ignoring her, and she couldn't stand it. So
Yeah, I know a friend of mine knows him. I guess they worked together and was telling me that, they just at work were all like felt bad for the guy. You had to when you read it. You're like, God, man, what happened here?
she admitted to all this stuff. I mean, this is not hearsay or alleged. She admitted to these things.
And it was only like a year marriage and it cost that guy a ton of money to get out. I mean, God, this is why our
And his
divorce laws need to be
sanity.
revamped. It's not like if you're married to Bridget Todd and she's like kicking you in the nuts and spraying you with bleach, you should be able to file for divorce and get out of the relationship. Like, like a 1-year marriage or whatever it was. I mean, come
That's like
on,
habitual and
legislature.
inhumane treatment.
But I mean, that's what I'm talking about, Lindsay. Like, that's with our legislature. Like, can we all agree that that's insane? That you have to stay married to the woman that's kicking you in the nuts, spraying bleach on you, jumping in front of your car, or jumping out of the boat in your car, whatever it is, and like trying to get you charged with a criminal act. And it's not like you've been married for.
Kidnapping your children, and then telling you telling him you're gonna kill yourself while you've got his kids with you. It just wow.
Well, I mean, and here's a look. I understand the super religious people in the legislature are like, we don't want to make divorce easy, whatever. Okay, but can we? I think this is a bill that we could pass. Like, you have like a 3-year escape hatch. All right. So like in the first 3 years, if like they're insane, you can push the button. You know what I mean? And like, but after 3 years, like then you have to get both parties to agree. I think it's a fair compromise. We're all about compromise. Like you get the escape. We call it the escape hatch law. Fred Shanks, he's a perfect person. We need to get him to with the squatted trucks. We'll get him to write this bill up for next session. And the escape hatch law, everybody will love it.
How about you just put them out in the front yard and let them duel?
Yeah, well, that's my next law is the dueling law. I think we need to bring that back, resurrect that from the Mississippi Code. But I think the escape hatch divorce law, 3 years. They're crazy, she's crazy, he's crazy, whoever's crazy, you get to push the button. And you got a 3-year window. And if you don't do it before the 3 years, then you got to both agree. But if you do it before the 3 years, you're good. I think it's great.
Sounds wonderful. We got to take our last break of the day. I'm going to try to get to this Tommy Duff stuff real quick when we get back. So y'all stay with us. We'll be right back here. WIAB 1039, The Lindsey Beckham Show. The Lindsey Beckham Show.
WYAB.
Have you thought about the cost of long-term care? In Mississippi, a home health aide can cost over $57,000 a year, and a private nursing home room can exceed $109,000 annually. Hi, my name is Cressley Pierce at Pierce Professional Agency. Long-term care insurance may help protect your savings and give you more options and peace of mind as you age. Learn how planning ahead could save you money and stress. Find me, Cressley Pierce, online today at MadisonPlans.com. That's MadisonPlans.com.
All Britain's Jewelers. When love requires a gift, nothing says it better than All Britons. Since 1920, we've been part of your family. From weddings and anniversaries to holidays, we've been there for every special occasion. At All Britons, we value your trust. Every gift, whether large or small, is a reflection of our commitment to quality and excellence. There's a reason we're still Mississippi's foremost diamond merchant. Let us show you why. All Britons Jewelry, 4460 Old Canton Road in Jackson.
All Britain's Jewelers. Tee it up for a great cause with the Madison Lions Club. Join us on Thursday, May 21st at the beautiful Whisper Lake Golf Club for our annual golf tournament. Grab your team and enjoy a fun, competitive day on the course with prizes for first, second, and third place. Sponsorship opportunities are available to showcase your business while supporting the community. Sign up today at MadisonLionsClub.square.site. That's the Madison Lions Club Golf Tournament, Thursday, May 21st at Whisper Lake.
At Bank of Yazoo, we believe that common sense makes for better banking. That's why we've taken our array of checking accounts and simplified them for you, boiling down features and benefits to create our New You, Achieve You, Benefit You, and Protect You checking accounts. Ready to discover how simple is better? Talk with us today. Bank of Yazoo, Bank of You. Member FDIC and Equal Housing Lender.
Americans for Prosperity is Mississippi's and the country's leading grassroots organization dedicated to promoting economic freedom and personal liberty. Americans for Prosperity advocates for limited government, free market policies, and empowering individuals. When given freedom and opportunity, Americans are capable of extraordinary things. If you are ready to make a difference in our community and want to get involved, then visit americansforprosperity.org. Be a part of positive change at americansforprosperity.org. Paid for by Americans for Prosperity.
The 19th Annual Township Jazz Festival is Saturday, April 11th in Ridgeland. 8 hours of live jazz, headlined by Grammy winner Nestor Torres. Also featuring the Tropicals from New Orleans, along with local favorites like the Vamps, Southern Comfort, the JSU Jazz Band, and much more. And admission still free. That's the Township Jazz Festival on Highland Colony Parkway in Ridgeland. Visit townshipjazzfestival.com.
Your roof is constantly exposed to the elements, battling dirt, algae, and stains. But with Watkins Construction and Roofing Roof Wash Service, you can keep it looking like new. A proprietary rooficide treatment is EPA approved, safe, and guaranteed to prevent algae from coming back for at least 2 years. No harsh chemicals, no damage, no black streaks. Just a clean, beautiful roof that lasts. Call Watkins Construction and Roofing at 601-966-8233 or visit nomoreroofstains.com today.
Even with interest rates higher than recent norms, real estate values are still holding strong in Mississippi. We caught up again with one of Mississippi's top real estate agents, Shane Saxon, to explain his recent activity in the market.
In the last year or so, it's been the best of my career. Interest rates have been high, but the real estate market is here to stay. Land values especially are continuing to rise. Home values are holding. If you need help with anything in real estate, just give me a call.
Find Shane Saxon on Facebook or give him a call at 601-540-5040. Offer property 601-74-1435.
Come together.
Welcome back into the Lindsey Beckham Show. We've got just a few minutes left, but Sean, we saw that it looks as though one of the names that has been circulating as a contender for our next governor in Mississippi has gotten himself into some legal trouble.
Yeah, there's apparently Tommy Duff, who is everybody, it's the worst kept secret in Mississippi that he may or may not run for governor, and and he's the richest man in Mississippi and one of the richest men in the country. Is that right? I think he's worth like $1 gazillion or something like that. And apparently they are being sued. He's being sued, and his brother is being sued by California-based attorneys on behalf of the federal government, alleging that the men and their companies improperly obtained over $6.7 million in federal pandemic loans, which, if y'all remember, were called the PPP loan program, where it was like the Paycheck Protection Program, I think is what it was called. And everybody and their mom, and like Tom Brady everybody got this money. They just handed it to everybody. So I don't know what. It seemed like every business, even like there was like these guys I remember that had a rap studio like close to my office, and like they got a PPP. I mean, everybody got a PPP loan. It was not very well regulated, and half the time the banks were like encouraging because they were getting the rip off the interest rates. And anyway, it's a long. I said back then too that they were going to be prosecuting this for like a decade. It was kind of like when I was working at the Attorney General's office in 2015. I was still prosecuting Katrina cases, and that was 10 years after Katrina, because there was just so much stuff left over from that. And this is the way.
Are they alleging that he lied to get these loans, or that he fraudulently got the loans, or?
Yeah, it seems like this is a civil lawsuit. So it's not a criminal action. I think, right? I think that's right. Or there's a Justice Department and private attorneys are all in this stuff. So I think it may be a civil action. I haven't really read too much into it, but yeah, there's alleging to something that happened where he was improperly falsifying loan documents, or the company was, the Duffs did, by falsifying loan documents to the Small Business Administration in order to obtain taxpayer-funded payments through the Paycheck Protection Program, which that was the the program that Congress created to keep businesses afloat during the pandemic. So, which so many people did this.
Be interesting to watch how this unfolds, but.
Yeah, I'll have to I don't know exactly whether this is because it says Justice, but I don't know if it's a civil division or I don't think it's a criminal prosecution. It seems to be a civil issue. They're not, as far as I know, they're not. Tommy Duff is not indicted, as far as I know.
That's all the time we've got for today. Thanks, Sean. I'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. See you here.